Good evening, everybody. So I have to share this. So every time I experience something like this, I remember this. I can't remember her name. And she's a neuroscientist. She studies, the brain, and had an aneurysm. And she was, in the telling of her story, she was like, I know I needed to get medical attention, but it was so interesting to be on the inside of the thing that I study and to be able to experience it. So it's kind of like that. It was not an aneurysm, right? But it was something really interesting. So yesterday, about 11:30 a.m., my left earlobe got really, really itchy. And it was like hot, itchy, like really fast, really intense. I was in the middle of working and my hands were dirty. And so, I'm like, I didn't want to go like this and touch it. So I kind of went like this, just, with my thumb on the inside of my shirt. And it's like, because it was so itchy. That went on for like 10 minutes. And I was like, all right, I got to go look at my earlobe. I don't know what's going on. So I went, washed my hands, went in, went and got, well, first I got my phone because I didn't have a mirror handy. And the phone, I took a picture and looked at it and I was like, this looks swollen. Oh my gosh. Now, the caveat here is I got my ears pierced about 2.5 months ago. And so while they're great and healing, it was like, why is my earlobe all of a sudden doing this? So I, after I looked at it in the picture, I was like, okay, this looks swollen. Let me go do something or, go take a closer look at it. So washed my hands, went to my vehicle and, I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh my gosh. And it's oozing. It's swollen, it's red, it's not as itchy anymore, but it's swollen. And I was like, this was not like this 30 minutes ago. What on earth is going on? I didn't touch my ear, nothing touched my ear. It's like, oh my gosh. So I didn't have the oil. I had like lavender oil in my bag. So I took some lavender essential oil and I touched it on my ear. And lavender is soothing and that was really helpful and stuff. So did that. Great. Still swollen. I noticed that it was getting a little crusty around it. So it's like, okay, something's going on, but I don't it was so fast and so sudden. Anyhow, okay. I know our bodies are amazing and wise beyond us sometimes. And so as much as I was concerned, because again, piercing, it's like, I don't want an infection, but I don't know. This is kind of weird. So that was yesterday about between 11:30 and noon. Last night, I sit down I'm doing this Psyche project, right? And so I sit down to do my stuff. And in the middle of the balances, because balances are so amazing, they're one thing that kind of get our brains calm. So when our brains are calm, we're more open to inspiration, thoughts, ideas flowing to us. I had a thought, and I was like, I need to look at my lifestyle prescription stuff and see what organ tissue was going on here and then what it was. So I did, and I was like, oh, but I was a little confused at first because I'm like, well, it's my lobe and it's the piercing. And that's where I got stuck. I kept going, it's the piercing, but it wasn't the piercing. Because by the way, it's about 36 hours later and my ear is just about normal. No swelling, no nothing, no crustiness, no nothing, no redness, no itching, no nothing. My ear is fine. So here's what happened. Let me grab my book. All right. So in lifestyle prescriptions, every organ tissue has an associated reaction when you have a particular emotional conflict. Now, so that's how in general the process works, right? Here's the symptom. what organ tissue that symptom is happening in. So for example, you have skin, right? And skin is an organ, but skin has different types of tissues in it. It's not just skin. You've got your epidermis, your dermis, you've got all those subcutaneous layers in your skin. You have different tissues in your organ, that's your skin. So, and every organ tissue, say there's different classifications of organ tissues, and the classifications come about literally from the embryonic stage. So you have things that are connected to different, I don't want to say levels of the brain, right? But that might be the best explanation for it. So you have things that are connected to very basic survival brain level, right? To like endoderm type tissue. And then you have tissue that's connected to like cerebral cortex level of the brain. So, you know, our thinking part, and tissues that are connected. So I'm getting excited now, right? The tissues that are connected to the cerebral cortex part of the brain have very quick, fast reactions because they're the ones most connected to our like electrical nervous system, right? You know, it's the most modern part of our brain, if that makes any sense. And your epidermis is one of those. Now, particularly as I'm talking about my lobe, right? It's more than likely just a dermis reaction. Epidermis reaction on my lobe. But I kept getting hung up on the, oh, it's my piercing, it's the piercing. But no, it wasn't. When I looked at my notes, I was like, then the whole thing came together. What happened was about 30 minutes and an hour before, so an hour before and about 30 minutes before, I got two separate phone calls. That were two of my staff calling to say, I'm leaving and I'm moving. So one was leaving because whatever she decided, I can't do this job because XYZ is happening in my life. And the other one called to say she's moving to a different state. So literally in the span of an hour, I had two of my staff call and say they were leaving. How does that affect my ear? Well, I'm so glad you asked. So here's the thing, the ear epidermis, the conflict that can affect the ear epidermis is classified as a hearing separation. So I'm hearing something that's, if you think of skin and touch, right? Touch connection, right? That's the purpose of one of the purposes of our skin. But I had an emotional conflict around a hearing separation. Now, I think it reacted that way, and I wasn't conscious of this the whole time this thing was happening. But I do have a grown belief, something I've worked on and developed over time, that everything is always well. One of my favorite statements, I say, juntos todo es perfecto, because together everything is perfect. It doesn't matter what's going on. Even when things are hard, it's perfect. It's happening just how it's supposed to happen, when and where and how it's supposed to happen. So even though I was like, oh man, I'm losing one of my new people, and this one's moving, and I was just like, eventually I was like, okay, whatever, it is what it is. And that's what I found myself saying. I said that several times over the course of the morning. Even one of the people I was working with, he goes, so what's going on in your territory? How are things? And I was like, oh, everything's fine. I'm like, I've just got two phone calls, these folks are leaving. But I'm like, hey, you know what? It is what it is. And everything is fine. All is well. Well, all really was well. So what happened was I had an unconscious emotional conflict. Like I really wasn't conscious of. I took the phone call. I was like, oh, all right, that's what's going on. Sent the information where I had to send it, because now we have open positions and we got to recruit for 2 new people. Is what it is. But apparently I was having some kind of emotional conflict about it that I didn't realize, which resolved very quickly because I have a belief that everything is fine all the time. And the reaction was just that fast. It was just that fast. My air, so the stress part of the epidermis is like a drying, a brittling of the tissue, and then when the stress is relieved, the healing now is the swelling and the redness, because now the body is repairing the tissue that was previously dried out, and hence the swelling, the itching. But I mean, how fast was that for it to just be gone? I mean, when I woke up this morning, it was mostly normal already, and that was less than 24 hours from the time it happened. So hopefully that kind of explains some of the process with the lifestyle prescriptions health coaching. I absolutely, I love this. I love this system. And it's really cool for me to see the process in my own self. To not be stuck like I used to when I have symptoms and think, oh, something's going wrong in my body. It's like, no, our bodies are always trying to heal. They're always trying to be better, improve, literally to heal, right? Thanks, y'all. Hope you enjoy. Hope this clarified some stuff, made some sense. If you're curious about health coaching, curious about Psyche, you can even just shoot me questions. Tools.